Welcome again to the second part of this workshop about the roads. We had to stop last time because there were too many questions, so I don't want to lose time. I will give the word to Georgios. Please, Georgios, go ahead with your presentation.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the participation last week and today as well. This is the topic we're going to talk about briefly, basically, is the emergency roads, emergency construction of emergency roads. It's something which is we see it a lot in northwest Syria because of the amount of camps, the number of camps and the settlements, and there is the need of approaching to have easy access to these locations, which means we need to adapt to something quick and something that will serve the purpose of providing services to any ad hoc settlements. So we have this type of emergency roads. What do we mean emergency roads? We mean, depending on the quick survey that we do prior, knowing the location, we do a prior and very draft survey without considering all the elements we talked about in the previous workshop, the last workshop. So what do we need is, after the light survey, we do a light, we explore the situation and we say, or we compact the existing road if it's only soil, or we have to backfill light the existing route we are going to choose, joining the main artery. We want to join the main artery with the location of the settlement, the spontaneous settlement, or the camp. Now, the emergency roads that consisted by light compact, when we backfill, which means we have a layer of 10 centimeters of gravel, and just to maintain the vehicle access. Only for this reason. We don't take in consideration heavy vehicles. We just want to have access, immediate access. So, which means we need to have a rapid implementation so all the actors who support the camp can have access immediately. Now, with this table, we put the pros and cons, the differences between the emergency road that we usually implement in northwest Syria and the regular road that we explored in the previous topic, in the previous workshop. Now, the lifespan, as you can see, it's from 2-3 months, the emergency road, versus 2-3 years, the regular road. It has the main characteristics. It has fast implementation. We don't need to consider all the elements of the regular road. Also, the minus of the emergency road is the deterioration will happen very quickly. Now, on this note, we can avoid the fast deterioration of the emergency road by, if possible, without causing excess cost on the budget that we provide for the emergency road, to have a small drainage, because usually, as we said in the previous workshop, the water is the main factor that destroys the road. So once we have a road which is already with it's very light compacted, it doesn't have all the necessary elements to protect it, like drainage or any topographical survey, hydrological survey. It's just a road we want to go through. So if we can do a small drainage on both sides to protect it, it might last a little bit longer. The 2-3 months, it can be 6 months, it depending on the situation. It depends how often the roads will be used, and also the season we are going to implement this road. If it's winter, it might stand only 1 month, maybe 2 weeks only. So all these things, we consider them on the spot, depending on the location where we are. Now, because we want to enter inside the location, we don't want to cause issues within the camp, the road. So that's why we keep it very low. Now, compared to the regular road that has all the elements that we take into consideration, that we care about the outside, the part which is outside of the camp, but also we care about and we do proper planning for the part of the road which is inside the camp. Now, that was my, this was a brief introduction to the emergency roads. In case there is some questions, because I got some questions the previous months about different various locations and how to do emergency road in these locations. It varies extremely on the soil. It can be very cheap in cost implementation. It can be more expensive depending on the road. Now, I give the floor to Esref for the next topic, which is storm drainage. Thank you.
العافية جميعا، آسف على المشكلة التقنية.
I apologize for this technical issue. What we are going to talk about is, in brief, since we are discussing road construction. So now I'm going to briefly talk about storm drainage and how it is related with a GIS system. So I'm going to talk about a very simple topic, which is storm drainage in general and its connectivity with the roads. Now, a definition of the main components of the storm drainage system. First of all, the drain lines. There are a lot of discussions and debates about open drain lines or closed drain lines. Some of our colleagues prefer the closed ones, and other colleagues prefer the open drain lines. And of course, there are advantages and disadvantages for each one of them. So of course, the floor is yours if you'd like to comment on this. The advantages of open drainage drain lines is that it is I'm sorry, the advantages is since it is open, the open drain line, there's going to be it is open and it is easier to make to drain the water. However, in the closed one lines, it can be combined with sewage. Regarding the disadvantages of open drain lines, it is making the movement difficult in some areas or for the vehicles. But for the closed ones, if there is if it is close in a certain place, so it is going to be a little bit difficult to do maintenance work, and the cost implications are going to be higher. And it's not going to be effective if there is flood. If you have any questions or you'd like to comment, the floor is yours. You can go ahead.
Yes, Esref. In terms of cost, what is more expensive?
بالنسبة للتكاليف المغلقة ممكن تكون مكلفة أكثر شوي كونه في أعمال حفرية.
The closed ones usually are more expensive because there are extra work that needs to be to happen and more compacting needs to take place. However, the difference for the lines, it is the same. However, excavation work can cost more. I'm sorry. The closed ones can cost more because of the extra excavation work. We can move to the second component, which is the large channel. Of course, there is a difference between large channels and drainage drain paths or drain lines. drain lines usually are coming with the road, and they are going through marked lines through the camps and the sites. However, when it comes to large channels, there is a certain line which is connecting with the camps, like in the camp in Asana, where the normal water stream was connecting with the camp. So a certain stream should be allocated in order to be able to drain the, not to drain, in order for the water to be able to go through it. 3, we have culverts. 4, you can find them at the entrance of some of the camps, so we can consider them also an extra crossing point, and yeah, because they are covered. So this is in brief.
Yeah,
Where you can see.
there is a question of Khaled. Sorry to interrupt you. Khaled want to say something.
استاذ الله يعطيك العافيه.
تفضل.
الله
Hello
يكرمك.
everyone. I have a question. It's like more like a comment about the work that we did when it comes to differentiating between closed drain lines and open drain lines. So regarding the closed ones, there should be certain requirements and conditions that need to be fulfilled. When you want to build a sewage system and you have near water stream,
ذكرت حضرتك.
so you have to design it
I am sorry for
accordingly.
the interruption. I am sorry for the interruption. Myself, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I am interpreting.
Yes, Khaled have some question, but at the same time in German channel, we are continuing to presentation.
I am interpreting his intervention. I am interpreting his question on the English channel.
Okay. Thank you.
تعليق ما كنت دخلت بهالموضوع هذا.
ما فيش استاذ خالد، اتوقع فيك تكفي، ما في مشكله.
طيب شكرا.
اوكي.
فبالنسبه للفرق ما بين
So regarding the difference between closed ones and open ones, so the closed ones, maybe they're connected with a sewage system or with a water stream, in addition to its high cost, because you are obliged to I think he said gullies, and regarding maintenance, if we consider as you know, the municipalities before the revolution, they used to pump inside the culverts in order for them to be open with imported machines. However, maybe you don't have such equipment, and when you try to pump in order to open them, you can open only 15 meters. This is the first thing. The second thing, the open ones, of course, for the closed ones, you need to do extra excavation work. If it is closed, it is more difficult to open them, and maybe it's going to result in the explosion of the explosion. However, when it is open, it is easier to deal with such problems. If there is an accumulation of dirt, for example, it's easier to remove the dirt. And of course, in IOM, we said that we decided that we prefer the open one. However, frankly speaking, I included both lines in the presentation because there was a debate within the cluster because some colleagues were more in favor with the closed line. So this presentation, the aim and the goal of this presentation to show both options, but the preference was always given to the open ones, despite the challenges and the problems that are facing the open line. And we're facing some problems with the landowners, HLP issues. So, of course, sometimes we were resorting to using the closed drain lines, but generally speaking, we usually go with the open drain line. Thank you. I have a comment, if I may. I am Hamad Mustafa from Mercy Corps, and I am a shelter engineer. Dear sir, regarding the open lines and the closed lines, here in the places where we have a crisis, of course there are areas now they're using open drain lines. However, its disadvantages are more than the disadvantages that of the closed line. In the areas where we work, there is a bad quality of soil, and there are other factors that are facing us when we work on closed drain lines. However, when we are trying to do open drain lines, then we are also facing very big problems, like there are a lot of insects, there are a lot of waste. However, there is a solution. If we have a closed line, it should be in line. The solution should be in line with the work that we are doing. Is that there should be big. I think he means water catchments. I think this is what he said. What's the goal from making that line? Of course, this when we make and we construct such lines, there are issues that we face in both cases. If we have a closed line and it is blocked, maybe at that point we need that line, and maybe we are not able to deal with the problem at that point. So, functionally speaking, in order to drain the rainwater, we need to. I'm sorry, I didn't get that. I'm with you with regards to the advantages and disadvantages, like the accumulation of waste, lack of maintenance, and when it comes to open lines. However, the priority is should be given to storm drainage and any activity that can facilitate this. The topic is debatable, and each case is unique and can be discussed and worked on. However, our goal is to show you all the cases, to show you both options and to discuss the advantages and disadvantages, and to convey these findings to the engineering team on the ground. Regarding discussion about storm drainage, so this was only in brief, in order to emphasize the importance of working on this, the importance of this component or this issue. Now I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Abdulkarim, and he can continue the presentation and answer the questions that he was asked. Hello, everyone. He was talking about Castel. I said water catchment. He meant Castel. Hello, everyone. Last time we explained a little bit about the considerations of the implementation when it comes to road construction, and now we're going to talk about the challenges that we face during implementation of road construction and open channels in the camp in northern Syria. The first challenge that we face is that the roads are very narrow inside the camp. Sometimes it is very narrow and it's not allowing the traffic to move, allowing the vehicles to pass. So my recommendation is that we shouldn't compromise the minimum of road construction. We shouldn't compromise the machines that are used during the construction. We used to use the graders, for example. We need to remove some tents. We have to try to make the road wider, like minimum 5.5 meters. So we have to try as much as we can to fulfill the minimum requirements for road construction when we face a narrow road. Firstly, we have to ensure water drainage in this road, and we talked about this last time. Rain is the biggest enemy. Not rain, water is the biggest enemy sometimes of the roads, and we have to drain the water. And it's in this narrow road, maybe we can build an open canal which is covered with blocks or covered with anything else. We can build close lines, but we shouldn't compromise water drainage when it comes to constructing roads. And one more challenge that we face is the traffic accidents, as you can see in this picture. Traffic accidents in the open channels. So we have to take these issues into consideration when we have a narrow road. So we can close the channel in this place, which is where vehicles are passing, and we can then we can make them closed and covered in a way that can mediate the percentage of accidents and minimize the accidents. And third, another challenge, our colleagues mentioned this channel, which is soil and solid waste accumulation. Here you need a regular maintenance work to take place. We cannot, when winter comes and we have open channels, those maintenance work should be conducted in order to guarantee that the water is being drained for looting, unfortunately. As you can see here, you can see in this channel that it is partially closed, and here I would like to talk about
لكن المعدن عم قناة مغلقة.
a closed channel. You can see that here we built a closed channel, and it was actually closed, and as you can see that the looting has taken place. Some of them are closed with metal materials, and it has a negative effect. So my recommendation that we should stay away from using metal for closing these channels, because it might be rough. And one more challenge during winter is weather conditions. As you know that we need to drain this water, the accumulated water, and we have to wait for the soil to dry. And here I would like to talk about the following. If we have to construct roads during winter, we can use something called blockage blocks, where after removing the mud as much as possible, you can put a layer of blocks that don't exceed 15 centimeters of height. So above those blocks, we can put aggregate. And we did this, actually. We did implement that, and it was a successful experience. And you can, instead of, if you don't have blocks, you can use broken rods in order to deal with the weather conditions. And one more challenge that we face is the fuel availability and the price inflation during winter, because as we know that during winter there is a high demand on fuel, so this results in the lack of fuel, and eventually the prices go up, especially that we use heavy vehicle during road construction, and they consume a lot of fuel, so this could be a problem for us. One more challenge that we face is the field security. Of course, there hot. Of course, there is because of the situation in the area, this results sometimes in suspending the work. And here I'm talking about the front line. And when we talk about water drainage, and if we're talking about construction roads and water drainage, so we have four main challenges. Overcrowdedness in the informal sites, weather conditions, fuel availability, and price inflation. Even price inflation may not be only applicable to fuel, but it can be applicable to other materials as well. And in addition to field security. But regarding drain, we have 7 challenges that we face. Overcrowdedness in the informal sites, as we mentioned, when we have narrow roads, and the second challenge is traffic accidents in the open channels. The third, soil and solid waste accumulation and follow-up maintenance. 4, looting. like stealing some of the materials, weather conditions, fuel availability and price, inflation, and finally fuel security. This is in brief, of course, and these are the challenges that we face during the implementation of road construction or channels. We have a question regarding the challenges. There is a challenge that you haven't mentioned when you have a project budget which is not in line with what you are mentioning. So if you want to implement this as you implement the standards or the minimum criteria used when during road construction, they are not taking into consideration that road construction in camps is of high cost. It's not $1,000 or $2,000. Yes, I am with you. I agree with you. There's always a problem with the budget, and there's always, I don't know if I can call it lack of estimation, because the cost is high, relatively high, and if we compromise, then we are this could result in shortening the lifespan of the road or the channel. So unfortunately, you see that there are a lot of roads that are being implemented and constructed. However, in the same year, we face flood incidents, for instance. So yes, this is one of the challenges, lack of budget. Even if we face this challenge, we should not compromise the minimum criteria by implementing the project. Yes, I agree with you. However, the project is not in line with the reality, or the budget of the project is not reflecting the reality. So when you have $2,000 for I didn't get the number, a square meter. So he's mentioned certain number in square meter. So if like $2,000 is allocated to a certain number of square meters, then we have a limited space to work in. You have different layers that they need to be made. You have minimum criteria that need to be faced. You have 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers, but on the reality, when you go to the camps in northern Syria and in IDP sites, so when you have more than 2 kilometers, so what can you do there? That, yes, you are right. However, you are obliged to stay within budget. You can maybe construct less number of roads. Yes, but you're right. We shouldn't compromise the requirements, the minimum requirements. During this session, I think we have colleagues from IOM or people who are working in donor organizations. I think they need to be aware of this issue, and I am asking them to answer this concern. Yes, I am with you. These are one of the continuous debates that we face. However, frankly speaking, when we have an estimation for a certain project, when we have studies conducted, we've been working for a year of camp construction. So as Mr. Abdulkarim said, when we have constructing a road, cost for 1 kilometer cost between $20,000 to $25,000. Usually we have work which is being implemented for 2 and 3 kilometers. So approximately the average budget for a camp that has a population of 1,000 to 2,000 people. So there is a budget between $40,000 to $70,000. So this is in the studies that that were submitted. Of course, and they are subject to demand and offer and demand and demand on in the market and the conditions of the work. So there are a lot of efforts are being made in order for these studies to be accurate. So we are trying our best for these studies to be accurate. I think there is someone from Maran Foundation who would like, who has an intervention. Yes, $20 for 1 meter. I'm sorry, $20 per 1 meter. I said 20,000. I misheard him. So this is the study that we are. These requirements, as Mr. Abdulkarim said, each 1 meter is cost in between $20 to $25. Usually, we need to construct roads between 2 to 3 kilometers. Sometimes you have crossings can be available with drainage. Sometimes concentrate more on drainage. This is related to the study itself. May I please say something regarding the problems that are happening in the camps? They're happening in the camps where we have an agricultural soil and they have a red soil. Sometimes they are choosing the location in a wrong way, where you have a water basin. So this results in very bad results. So I need to try to maintain the roads that serve that camp, and it's better than making roads with a thickness of 60 and 70 centimeters that could be destroyed with the water, with the rainwater. So first of all, when in any location you're going to work, and you have to first consider working on rainwater drainage. If we are not able to drain the water because the site is in a place where it is considered like very low, so it is difficult to drain the water there. This is all related to the selection of the site, and secondly to the to how the soil can endure and this water, the strength of the soil. I'm sorry. So if I can answer the questions of Mr. Khalid. So this is all related to the strength of the soil. May I answer the questions of Mr. Khalid? He was asking about compacting and the density of the agricultural soil. I mentioned that it shouldn't be in the sublayer, it shouldn't be less than 98%. Mr. Khalid is saying that our roads are classified 5 or even 6, and so therefore we can accept up to 95%. Moreover, he's saying that we can implement these roads classified 5 or 6. We can implement one layer with a with a thickness of 25 centimeters, and on top of it an asphalt layer. And this is from his experience. Here, I would like to draw your attention to a very important issue. The first thing, the thickness of the compacting layer depends on the strength of the soil, CBR of the soil that we are working with, and these tests or equivalents are available at the Idlib University and also at Alba'ath University. I think it's the North university. And the other thing, the weight of the vehicles that are passing over that road. I know that a lot of the trucks are taking the maximum cargo. In Turkey, I think it is 26 tons. However, the trucks that are passing over that road have a cargo of more than 30 tons. So here there is something called axle cargo. The vehicles that are passing on top of the road, and they have very big cargo. Here, the total weight is huge. So here, we cannot say that because we have the traffic density is less on those roads, so we have to compromise the minimum requirements. We cannot do this because one vehicle with a very huge cargo can destroy that road or affect it very badly. So we have to design those layers accordingly. And regarding the implementation of only one layer with a thickness of 25 centimeters, I mentioned before that the thickness is subject to, is related to the compacting machine that we are using. This machine should be around 25 tons. I don't know. I don't think that they're available in Northern Syria. So here we are taking the risk when we have high thickness. So when we design these layers, we have to design it according to the TPR of the soil and the weight and cargo of the vehicles of the, that are passing. And this is inside, of course, the camp. But regarding the roads outside the camp, like the road of Sarmad, between Sarmada and Katana, there is a very big traffic density on that road. So if you are working on that, on such a road, so definitely you have to take the traffic volume into consideration. There is another thing which is very important, that the roads inside the camps are being implemented without asphalt layer. We're only using aggregates, and unfortunately we haven't even we're not even we don't have a layer with bitumen layer. We are not even doing that. It's not being implemented. So these are some of the reasons that are making us careful that some of the cargoes are they're informal cargoes. They're not under control, and even the soil, we're not taking the type of soil into consideration. And one more thing, we don't have an asphalt layer. And, the road is not only subject to it's not only subject to what we have mentioned, but it is also subject to how the tilt, the degree, the tilt of how many degrees does it have, whether vertically or horizontally. Of course, when I said 25 centimeters, this is the final, the maximum centimeter, and that was before the revolution, because in technical centers we used to work on thickness up to 25 centimeters, and in the rural roads we were using only one layer, and we were doing conducting the compacting work by using the available machines. Can we ask the NGOs there are sending the NFI kits or hygiene kits to the camp. Can we ask them to send a certain weight of cargo, to use a certain weight of cargo? We can ask, yes, actually we can, but on the other hand, we have a lot of trucks that are informal, that are carrying construction materials, for example. So they have very huge cargo with a very big weight. So this is creating a very big pressure on the road. So in order for this issue to be dealt with, this should be done at a higher level.
يا استاذ هلا هول الشاحنات اللي انت عم تحكي عنهم اللي عم بتشيل 3
the trucks that you are talking about, the ones that are carrying blocks and carrying construction materials, they're not going into the camps. They're moving between the camps. So they can build inside the camps. We can build like roads for small vehicles. But regarding the roads outside the camps, you can then take these things into consideration. Yes, but you have to put in mind that these, if you can guarantee that the trucks are not going to be passing over these roads inside the camp, so yes, we can do that. But you have to be very careful, because sometimes inside the camp, sometimes there are people who are removing tents, and you see trucks carrying construction materials coming in. So you have to guarantee that such trucks are not going into the camp. Maybe someone owns such a truck, and he goes inside, and the truck is loaded with very heavy materials. So in my opinion, this is a little bit complicated. Yes, it is complicated with regard to the cost, and also with regard to an existing camp. So you have to make the roads, you have to make the tent higher, that level of the tent higher than the road. So it is not easy. You're right. You have to have many things take many things into consideration while implementing road construction. For example, you have the thickness of the layers of 40 centimeters. So this means that the entire camp should be higher than 40. The level of the camp should be higher than 40 centimeters. So you have to try to make these layers lower than the level of the camp. But then you face the challenge of water drainage. So every location is unique, every site is unique, and you have to keep all these considerations in your mind. You take them into, you have to take all these things into consideration, and the duration of designing or usually is very short, shorter than the implementation. In my opinion, the study or the design should be, the duration of the design should be long, because if we make it longer, then this would save us time during implementation and would save us facing a lot of problems and amendments then. Does anyone have any other questions? Of course, contact info will be shared with you. If you have any questions, you can contact us. Andrea and George, do you have anything to add?
George and Andrea?
No, that's fine from my side. I don't have any question. Thank you very much. George, do you have any question?
No, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for participation. Thank you Esref, Abdulkarim for the input, for the insight. Thank you everyone, and thank you Andrea.
Yes, if there is no question, I would like to remind you that next week there will be no workshop, and in 2 weeks there will be a workshop about piped water supply based on a software called EPANET. It will be split in 2 parts, the introduction on the basic of hydraulic, and the second one will be developing a network and time analysis. But you will get the link timely.